Hello, welcome to Imperial Truth, your source for honest and clear reporting. Here is the news for March 27, 2025.
In a rare display of dissent, Palestinians in Gaza have initiated protests against Hamas's governance. Demonstrators in northern and central Gaza chanted slogans such as "Hamas out," expressing frustration over ongoing conflicts and shortages of essentials like food and water. Hamas acknowledged the right to protest but warned against actions perceived as aligning with Israeli interests. Israeli leaders have observed the protests, reiterating their opposition to Hamas and encouraging Gazans to demand the group's removal. The conflict has resulted in over 50,000 Palestinian deaths and extensive destruction of Gaza's infrastructure. These protests highlight growing internal discontent within Gaza regarding Hamas's leadership.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announced intentions to eliminate the Federal Emergency Management Agency. This move has raised concerns about the government's preparedness for future disasters, as no alternative plans have been detailed. Critics argue that dismantling FEMA could leave disaster-prone states vulnerable without federal support. FEMA has historically provided billions in aid to states affected by natural disasters. The absence of a replacement strategy has prompted criticism from Democrats, emphasizing the necessity of a coordinated federal response to emergencies and disasters.
The Department of Homeland Security has ramped up its efforts to arrest pro-Palestinian protesters on college campuses. These actions have raised alarm among civil liberties advocates who argue that DHS is employing tactics akin to kidnapping, with individuals being detained without clear charges or due process. These arrests have been part of a broader crackdown on college activism, which critics claim is aimed at suppressing free speech and dissent against U.S. foreign policy regarding Israel. Legal experts and human rights organizations argue that such tactics represent an unconstitutional overreach, especially given the lack of evidence linking many of the detained individuals to violent activities. As protests across the U.S. continue, the DHS is under scrutiny for its increasing use of detention and force against demonstrators, drawing comparisons to authoritarian regimes.
The Trump administration plans to cease U.S. funding for Gavi, an organization that provides vaccines to children in developing nations. This decision is part of a broader reduction in foreign aid, aligning with the administration's America First policy. Gavi has emphasized that U.S. support is crucial for saving millions of lives and ensuring a healthier future for children worldwide. The cessation of funding is expected to impact vaccination programs in some of the world's poorest regions. Health experts warn that this move could lead to the resurgence of preventable diseases. The administration's decision has sparked international concern and criticism from global health organizations.
At least 100 million people across nearly 24 states are at risk for severe weather from Saturday to Monday. The storms are expected to bring damaging winds, large hail, and the possibility of tornadoes. Residents are advised to stay informed and prepare for potential severe conditions. Meteorologists warn that the severe weather could affect a large portion of the Midwest and southern United States. The system is anticipated to move eastward, impacting areas from the Great Plains to the East Coast. Authorities recommend having emergency plans in place and monitoring local weather updates.
Toxic Martian dust poses significant health risks to astronauts and could damage equipment during future missions to Mars. The dust contains harmful particles that can cause lung damage and mechanical failures. Addressing these challenges is crucial for the success of manned missions to the Red Planet. Researchers are developing countermeasures to protect astronauts and equipment from the pervasive Martian dust. Solutions include advanced filtration systems and protective coatings for machinery. Ensuring the safety and functionality of missions will require extensive testing and innovation.
In a controversial move, 23andMe has announced plans to sell the DNA data of over 15 million of its users. This decision has raised serious concerns about privacy and the ethical implications of monetizing sensitive genetic information. Despite reassurances that the data will be anonymized, many users are questioning the extent to which their genetic information could be exploited by third parties, including pharmaceutical companies and insurance firms. Consumer protection groups have criticized the company for selling user data without explicit consent, especially as 23andMe's financial struggles leave many users vulnerable to data breaches. The sale of this genetic information could set a dangerous precedent for other companies in the genetic testing industry, where users may unknowingly consent to the commercialization of their personal data.
The proposed defunding bill would eliminate federal funding for public broadcasting, which currently accounts for around 15% of NPR's and PBS's budgets. Republicans argue that taxpayer money should not fund media outlets they perceive as politically biased. However, Democrats warn that this move could severely impact rural communities that rely on public broadcasting for news and educational programming. PBS and NPR executives have stated that federal cuts could force station closures and reduced programming, particularly in underserved areas. Public media organizations have historically received bipartisan support, but political tensions have intensified funding debates. Democrats argue that removing funding could disproportionately affect lower-income Americans who depend on public broadcasting for free educational and informational content.
The Trump administration has announced a new 25% tariff on all imported vehicles and auto parts, citing the need to protect American manufacturing. The decision has sparked backlash from automakers, who warn that higher costs will be passed on to consumers. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce estimates that the tariffs could increase the price of imported cars by an average of $5,000. Industry analysts predict that the tariffs could reduce U.S. auto sales and result in job losses, particularly at foreign-owned manufacturing plants operating in the country. The European Union and Japan have condemned the move and are considering retaliatory tariffs on American exports. The administration argues that the policy is necessary to reduce reliance on foreign manufacturing and strengthen domestic production.
President Trump has reiterated his interest in acquiring Greenland, stating that the U.S. is willing to go as far as needed to secure the territory. The remarks have reignited tensions with Denmark, which has firmly rejected any discussions of selling the autonomous region. Greenlandic officials have also condemned the statement, emphasizing their commitment to remaining under Danish sovereignty. The U.S. has long maintained strategic interests in Greenland due to its location and natural resources. Analysts believe Trump's comments could strain U.S.-Denmark relations, particularly as Greenland holds significant geopolitical value in the Arctic. While previous discussions of purchasing Greenland were dismissed as unrealistic, Trump's renewed stance suggests that the issue may resurface in diplomatic negotiations.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. You can also follow us on our other socials, links in the description box below. Thank you again.